A free cup of ice water might save your bad day, but it is a wild historical truth that a tiny frozen treat once sparked an absolute frenzy, driving millions of average Americans to line up for blocks under a blistering summer sun. It sounds like a total fever dream, but today is the 11th of July, and all across the country, crowds are swamping local convenience stores to celebrate 7-Eleven Day, historically known to frozen drink fanatics as National Free Slurpee Day. It is a massive, jaw-dropping annual spectacle that creates a staggering optical illusion when you see miles of people roasting on the asphalt just to claim a tiny, clear plastic cup filled with sweet neon slush that costs them absolutely $0. But the origin story behind this global corporate giant will force you to slam on the brakes, because the history of the largest convenience store chain on planet Earth was anything but a smooth ride, and it looks nothing like the casual midnight snack runs you take for granted today. Most people living in the modern world look at 24/7 businesses and think they are a natural, permanent part of human civilization. But we need to roll the clock all the way back to the blistering summer of 1927 in the sun-baked flatlands of Dallas, Texas. A sharp, enterprising young man named John Jefferson Green started selling basic household staples like fresh eggs, cold milk, and loaves of bread directly out of a massive wooden ice dock owned by the Southland Ice Company. Back in those rough days, modern electric kitchen refrigerators were an expensive luxury that regular families could only dream of, meaning that keeping perishable food fresh and safe to eat under the punishing triple-digit Texas heat was an absolute nightmare of a puzzle. Regular folks who walked over to the dock just to buy giant blocks of ice to keep their ice boxes cold realized they could handily grab their daily groceries at the exact same time. And right there, the very concept of the modern convenience store was born. Initially, this rapidly growing network of ice dock storefronts operated under a highly unusual name called totem stores, mainly because the managers planted a massive hand-carved indigenous totem pole right out front to catch the eyes of passing motorists. The true legendary twist arrived in the post-war era of 1946, when the upper management team made a bold corporate decision to rename the entire operation 7-Eleven to announce a structural revolution in American retail. That new name proudly broadcasted their brand new, unprecedented operating hours, running from 7 in the morning straight through to 11 at night, 7 days a week. This was a shocking, completely unheard of schedule in the retail landscape of the mid-20th century, considering almost every traditional mom-and-pop grocery store and dry goods market locked its front doors the second the sun started dipping below the horizon. Well, if this business had simply stuck to selling cartons of milk and crates of farm-fresh eggs, the brand never would have transformed into a permanent, loud icon of American pop culture. You see, the undisputed heavy-hitting star of this frozen empire is the Slurpee, a hyper-carbonated, neon-colored slush drink that has held millions of people completely spellbound for generations. Look, the ultimate comedy of this legendary beverage is that its entire existence actually traces back to a total freak accident, pulled off by a brilliant but completely disorganized ice cream parlor owner named Omar Knedlik in the late 1950s. The ancient commercial refrigeration unit in his tiny shop suddenly broke down on a suffocatingly hot summer afternoon, leaving him with a mountain of warm soda bottles and a room full of impatient, sweaty customers. To prevent an angry riot and save his daily profits, he panicked and shoved the glass soda bottles deep into his kitchen walk-in, hoping to chill them down to a bearable temperature as fast as humanly possible. Oh, and when he finally pulled the bottles out, a massive scientific plot twist occurred. The pressurized carbonated liquid hadn't frozen into solid ice, but had instead transformed into a thick, slushy, semi-frozen mixture of icy syrup and tiny snow crystals. He served this accidental concoction to his sweltering patrons, and wow, it caused an immediate, massive sensation, because the locals completely lost their minds over the weird, fluffy texture and intense burst of icy carbonation. Recognizing that he was sitting on an absolute goldmine of a business idea, Omar Knedlik spent years engineering a custom-built machine from scratch, cleverly utilizing the heavy-duty cooling systems found in vintage automobiles to continuously churn out this pressurized, icy soda slush. When the corporate scouts from the 7-Eleven chain stumbled across this wild invention in 1965, they immediately locked down an exclusive licensing deal and hired a genius advertising director named Bob Stanford to brand the product for a national launch. Instead of choosing a boring, overly technical name that sounded like a chemistry textbook, this creative director made a brilliant, hilariously simple decision to name the drink after the exact sound a human being makes while consuming it.
That's right, the iconic name Slurpee is a direct, playful simulation of that loud, sputtering noise echoing inside your mouth when you desperately try to suck up those very last drops of frozen syrup from the bottom of a plastic cup. To mark its monumental 75th corporate anniversary on the 11th of July in the year 2002, the global retail giant decided to throw a massive nationwide party by giving away small complimentary cups of their famous frozen slush to every single customer who walked through the front door. This single promotional gamble triggered a wild, unstoppable summer tradition that has been fiercely maintained by the American public every single year since. Annually, when this specific date rolls around, thousands of retail locations across the country descend into absolute chaos as workers hand out roughly 9 million free cups of icy slush within a tight window of just a few hours. Statistical analysts have calculated that the total volume of sugary frozen liquid poured into those little cups on a single July afternoon is more than enough to completely fill dozens of standard Olympic-sized swimming pools. This overwhelming public hysteria has also brought about some incredibly ridiculous human behavior that leaves store managers completely speechless, with thousands of fans dressing up in bizarre costumes or sneaking massive industrial-sized plastic buckets into the stores to cheat the system and steal extra gallons of slush. However, the corporate headquarters quickly clamped down by establishing strict, unyielding rules stating that you can only fill the official designated promotional cups provided by the staff. Consuming this sub-zero, highly carbonated beverage at absolute lightning speed in the middle of a heat wave frequently triggers a painful medical phenomenon that Americans affectionately refer to as a brain freeze. When you swallow a massive, greedy gulp of ice-cold slush, the blood vessels lining the roof of your mouth contract violently and instantly to protect your core temperature, which triggers a rapid reflex that sends a sharp, blinding pain signal directly up your cranial nerves. This leaves you feeling like your head is about to physically detonate for a solid 30 seconds. And while the global scientific community classifies this temporary agony under the incredibly long name of sphenopalatine ganglioneuralgia, to the millions of frozen drink fans out there, it's just the hilarious tax you pay for a sweet moment of free satisfaction. The explosive growth of this frozen beverage across the United States also became deeply intertwined with some of the strangest cultural and political trends in modern history. There was a prolonged period where the country was so utterly obsessed with these frozen drinks that high-level politicians and strategists began weaponizing them as a crucial tool to win over working-class voters during intense election cycles. Custom-designed plastic cups featuring the cartoon faces of competing presidential candidates were distributed nationwide, turning the sales numbers of specific flavors into an unofficial, highly accurate polling metric for tracking who was leading the race to the White House. Enthusiastic fans even organized wild public festivals, including competitions where people poured gallons of frozen slush directly over their bodies, and flavor engineers pushed the absolute limits of human digestion by inventing bizarre, stomach-churning varieties like savory smoked bacon and sour dill pickle slush. But hey, do not even think about wiping that cold sweat off your forehead just yet, because the ultimate historical plot twist of the 11th of July is still waiting in the wings as we flip the script to a completely different national celebration known as National All-American Pet Photo Day. It turns out, humans are not the only creatures on Earth who love to strike a dramatic pose for the camera, because historical archives prove that our four-legged animal companions have been manipulating human psychology and stealing the spotlight of visual media since the earliest, most primitive cameras were put together. Back in the mid-19th century, when the photographic process was an incredibly clumsy, exhausting ordeal that required a human subject to sit completely motionless like a statue for up to half an hour, wealthy American pet owners went to extraordinary lengths to ensure their dogs and cats didn't ruin the shot. Uncovered historical records show that professional studio photographers regularly use hidden iron stands concealed behind the animal's fur, or even resorted to administering mild herbal tonics just to get a single deadpan, unmoving portrait of a prize-winning canine. This deep-seated obsession never faded away. Instead, it evolved into a massive empire of digital entertainment in our modern smartphone era, where global social media networks are completely dominated by adorable viral animal pictures. Many people often pause and wonder why they possess this strange, compulsive daily habit of spending hours scrolling through endless photos of a completely random, goofy cat on the internet.
Well, it turns out you are not alone in this behavior, and modern neurological science has stepped in to prove that this is a fascinating biological trick engineered by Mother Nature. Specialized psychological studies conducted at Hiroshima University in Japan revealed that looking at images of small, cute animals triggers an immediate cognitive response that spikes human focus and attention span by a staggering 44%. This exact behavior simultaneously causes a dramatic drop in your body's primary stress hormone, cortisol, while flooding your brain with a powerful, refreshing wave of dopamine. Photographing your pets and sharing those images online is actually a built-in, natural psychological coping mechanism that helps modern humanity survive the crushing, fast-paced anxieties of daily life, proving it is far more than just a useless vanity project. This intense cultural adoration for pet photography has transformed several ordinary animals into elite, high-earning global icons, with fortunes so massive they leave actual Hollywood celebrities completely speechless. The most legendary example of this phenomenon is the unforgettable story of Grumpy Cat, a mixed-breed feline whose permanent, hilariously furious facial expression was caused by a rare congenital condition known as feline dwarfism. Thanks to a single, candid photograph snapped by her owner's brother and uploaded to an online forum back in 2012, this little cat became an overnight global sensation. Her unimpressed, angry face became the ultimate canvas for millions of internet memes, generating a massive commercial empire that brought in millions of dollars in licensing fees, major brand endorsements, and even Hollywood movie deals for her stunned owners. The immense cultural power of these animal photos has even breached the highest halls of political power in the United States, reaching all the way inside the Oval Office of the White House. For over a century, American heads of state have strictly maintained a powerful tradition of keeping domestic pets, effectively turning these animals into some of the most successful, beloved public relations diplomats in world history. Famous presidential dogs like George W. Bush's Scottish Terrier Barney or Barack Obama's Portuguese water dog Bo had dedicated teams of official White House photographers tracking their every move, capturing images of them sprinting across the manicured South Lawn or playfully chewing on expensive leather shoes. These candid, heartwarming photographs were systematically distributed to national news outlets as a brilliant, highly effective media strategy designed to soften the public image of powerful leaders, instantly closing the emotional gap between cold, calculating politicians and the everyday citizens who vote for them. So, if you want to perfectly celebrate the bizarre intersection of these two unique July traditions without running into a total disaster, the absolute best blueprint is to grab your dog or cat and take a walk down to the nearest convenience store to claim your free cup of frozen slush. Once you get your hands on that bright, icy treat, pull out your phone and try to capture a hilariously chaotic selfie right at the exact moment your face contorts in pure agony from a massive brain freeze, all while your four-legged companion stares directly into the lens with an expression of pure, cold, unyielding judgment. That single, ridiculously goofy photo will serve as the ultimate historical evidence of how you survived the wild, unforgettable summer day in America. Now it's your turn to jump into the conversation. Have you ever experienced a brain freeze so incredibly painful that you swore off cold drinks forever? Or do you happen to have an absolute masterpiece of an embarrassing photo featuring your own pet at home? Drop your thoughts in the comments below or hit me with your weirdest questions so we can dive straight into them in our upcoming historical breakdowns.